Hi, friends. Um, I'm happy to be here, enjoying the sun and the little summer time. So I know it's a little dark on me, but because it's overexposed, but I think it's okay. Here's my little baby, so I just feel like it doesn't matter, and you can hear me, so it's fine. Um, Also, I started before I start the topic of the day. I started this channel in Spanish in my country, Colombia, in Bogota, and then since I moved here, I felt that I wanted to share in English and Spanish, just because I want people from both my communities to have access to the things that I share. But obviously, because the channel started in Spanish, there is like a lot of views in the content that I do in Spanish and very few of what I do in English, which just makes me think if I should continue doing it in English, just because I don't, I have a limited energy resource. So if you are an English speaker and you have been enjoying my content, drop me a comment just to see if I should continue this or just switch to only Spanish. And so that's just a question I have for you all. And then today, I'm excited to share this. Today, I've heard and I like the idea, it resonates with me. July 7th of 2024 is a sort of portal for manifestation, or like an opportunity, an alignment with the universe, where we can set up our intentions and see even big dreams, to come to fruition in the future. So I did all my rituals this morning, that I learned were good for that. And in that process, I got a piece of learning that I wanted, the knowledge, sorry, that I wanted to share with you. And I've done two videos in the past about why my affirmations don't work. And when I was mostly thinking about were affirmations that are towards manifesting things. So not necessarily like I am worthy or I love myself kind of affirmations, but more of like I'm getting a job that has X, Y, and Z characteristics, or that type of affirmations. And so, I continue learning about things because I want to help the people that I see in my Akashic Records readings with like, good advice, I guess. Because I have a lot of people that continuously need guidance, and I feel that I have, contracts with people to help them. So I always am learning and I'm curious because it feeds my practice, right? So let me just share a little bit of how is it that I started to work on manifestation, which is a topic that is very famous today, like very popular, I guess. Um, and the first, I think so. I think the first time I wrote a list of wishes, let's say, like where I really sort of like pictured myself in the future and asked myself, what do I want in my future, etc., was perhaps 2016, where I was living with a family in Miami, of friends of mine, who, as a practice for the end of the year, would do that, write a list of wishes or desires or goals, and to see, like put them out there. I do have a practice in Latin America and in Colombia that is very famous. You eat 12 grapes and you ask a wish for each grape. So I guess there is a version of this in my culture, but I think I never took it too seriously as I started to do it on 2016. And so I wrote my desires, my goals, projects that I wanted to accomplish, and almost anything happened. Like, none of those happened. So, of course, I got disappointed. But it like this encouraged, right? But I continue the work, and it turns out that after that and up to today, the progress has been immense, to the point where last year I looked at my list from the previous year on December 31st. I was gonna write, I wrote mine for this year, and then I saw the one that I had done, and I had accomplished almost everything that I put there. And some of those were big dreams. And so I was like super grateful, and also kind of curious as to what changed, and kind of like realizing that there are people who dream and do these lists and they immediately or like easily manifest, and some others is harder. And I even have like very close friends that do this with me, and they don't see the results, which again, it can be disheartening. So this is where I'm sharing this piece that I learned today, because I feel like it's really interesting and it could be game changer somehow, which is that there is a relationship with manifesting and the relationship with your father. So it's funny because I have known for some time that we receive copies, let's say, of our both mom and dad of our for our chakras. And I have not connected the dots here. So the energy of manifestation is in the yellow spectrum, and it's allocated in the solar plexus, right? Which is a center, a chakra, an energy center that you receive from your father. So of course, if I mean, I just can't believe I haven't thought about this, but everything in the world requires energy, of course, and manifesting is one of those things that requires energy. So if you don't have enough energy to manifest your dreams, you can write them down and have a lot of like desire, but it won't happen. And that is like mind blowing for me, because I just never considered that, you know. And so it turns out that if you see that you're having issues with manifesting your dreams or projects or etc., you might want to look at the relationship you have with your dad in two ways. You can see if your dad or that family has issues with manifesting, meaning problems with money, which is also first chakra, but problems with like becoming what they want to become, or achieving their dreams, or like failing in their dreams, etc. So if your dad had like an underdeveloped third chakra, you got that from him. So that's one possibility that you can heal, obviously. And then the other possibility is, and this is where I was like, oh my goodness, is if you have a bad relationship with your father. And so then that would cause you to have issues with manifesting. Can you believe that? Jesus. And so for me, it was very surprising, I guess, because I have shared with you before that my dad abandoned my mom when she was pregnant, and he didn't want to take responsibility for the baby, me. And he was a doctor and she was a nurse, and it was sad. And so I subconsciously, I guess, decided to cut my energetic cords that I have from my dad as a way of defense mechanism, being like, well, if you don't want me, I don't want anything from you, I'm gonna cut all these cords, which is incredibly painful, and as I'm learning today, can also affect my manifestation, let's say, powers, or, you know, among many other things. I mean, there is enough literature about how your relationship with your dad affects your relationship, like romantic ones, even if you're queer, like in my case. So, well, that was a big piece of information for me, and what to do, right? What to do with that. So there are a couple of things that you can do. First would be to start a process of healing your father wound. And so here it is, the interesting portion of my story personally. So I was telling you that in 2016 I did a list and nothing came through. But then things started to change, and now that I'm looking back, well, that year after, the year after I did that list, I decided to meet my father for the first time when I was 30. I went to meet him, and this is a great story for another time, but I showed up in his workplace and I met him, which was for me the first or part of a big part of healing that wound, which is not completely healed, but it was my own personal way to start the process. And after I did that, my manifestation started to happen. So in my journaling and my rituals today for manifestation in this portal that I'm telling you about, which is today 7/7, I got to like a beautiful sort of discovery where I was kind of like trying to figure out what would I like to say to my dad, because I do know that I haven't healed the wound completely. I'm just in the path. The first step for me was to accept that I do have an abandonment wound from him, because for 30 years I would pretend that I didn't. So the first thing was to accept that I am hurting from that, and then feel all the feelings since I have accepted that, meaning anger, sadness, all of the things. And the ultimate goal, let's say, or like the ideal, which I definitely not there fully, but it's to forgive him, right? But I think I'm doing a great progress. And while I was writing today for my journal, I felt that I was able to, maybe for the first time, receive his energy in my solar plexus. So the way that this is set up in our three-dimensional world is that he's a donor. Your father is the donor for you in certain chakras, including the solar plexus. And so it's his duty and his commitment, and he signed up for this, even if the father doesn't stay with the child, as we were saying, to donate that energy. And he's donated you that energy from him, but also from, like, it's connected to all of the man in his family, in that lineage, right? So while I was writing, I realized that I was ready to receive energy from him here. And that is a way of forgiveness, because I am finally like, I'm not going to talk to him. We don't have a relationship, but I'm ready to receive from him, which unblocks, energy that I deserve, or like, that it's good for me to receive. And when I visualized that I was receiving his yellow energy, he, or like the higher self, right? Not his lower self or ego, but his higher self was so happy, because obviously it is painful if the child rejects that energy, right? And I felt connected to all that lineage that I'm very disconnected from, because I don't know that family at all. Like, because he decided to abandon us, I don't know my grandparents, were they're dead, I think, and I don't know anything about, so I felt at a spiritual level connected to that lineage, and it was amazing. So all of that to say that I want to invite you, if you're having issues with manifesting your dreams, desires, goals, etc., to look at the relationship you have with your father. And if you have a good relationship, but you can notice that he has issues with his manifesting himself, to look for resources and ask for guidance in how to heal that. Because obviously, even though you might have received that from him or inherited that, you don't need to have that issue, that you can heal it. And when you heal it, you heal them. Like healing can be retroactive if you want, because time doesn't exist as linear as it is in the spirit world. So when you heal, they heal, even if they're gone, long gone, you know. So I guess that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I do hope that you enjoy this 7-7, and that you also, if you're called to, do some writing about what are the things that you want to manifest in the near future and even beyond. So that's all. Mwah. Take care.